If you're still single, please watch this video. Stoic Life Lessons. Stoicism. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. If I could go back in time and meet my younger self, struggling with loneliness, questioning self-worth and searching for love, I would sit him down and tell him exactly what I'm about to share in this video. Welcome to Win Stoic, where we use timeless Stoic wisdom to navigate modern life. If you're still single and wondering what it all means, stay with me. This might just be the perspective shift you need. Number 1. Attraction is a skill, not a trait. Attraction is not a passive trait bestowed upon a select few, rather, it is a skill that can be cultivated and honed. Many men mistakenly believe that attraction is solely dictated by physical appearance, wealth, or social standing, a misconception reinforced by social media influencers who perpetuate the idea that one must be tall, rich, muscular, or adorned with a beard to be desirable. However, reality contradicts these narratives. You look around and you'll see men from all walks of life, some average in appearance, others of modest means, who are nevertheless in fulfilling relationships with attractive women. This is a testament to the fact that attraction transcends superficial traits and is instead rooted in deeper qualities of character, presence, and mindset. As Epictetus once said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Likewise, while you may not control your genetic inheritance or financial status, you can control the way you present yourself, the confidence you exude, and the energy you bring into social interactions. Understanding female psychology is pivotal in shifting one's approach to attraction. Attraction has been shaped over millions of years of evolutionary biology, and its underpinnings are far more complex than modern trends would have you believe. Women are instinctively drawn to men who display confidence, emotional intelligence, and purpose. These traits signal stability, leadership, and the ability to navigate life's challenges, qualities that transcend transient standards of beauty or material wealth. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." A man who understands what he stands for, who has a clear direction in life, and who embodies resilience and self-discipline naturally attracts others without the need for pretense. Many men, however, approach dating from a position of scarcity or fear. They either idolize women, placing them on pedestals, or resent them for their perceived selectiveness. Both mindsets are counterproductive. Seneca wisely noted, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." When a man internalizes rejection as a reflection of his inadequacy, rather than as a natural part of the social dynamic, he binds himself to a self-defeating narrative. Instead, he must recognize that attraction is about compatibility, timing, and the ability to bring value to an interaction, rather than seeking validation from it. The man who is self-assured, who enjoys his own company, and who finds fulfillment in his personal pursuits becomes naturally more attractive. Social media and modern dating culture have exacerbated unrealistic expectations, making many men feel disheartened. Yet, when stripped of its illusions, attraction remains a deeply human experience rooted in authenticity and connection. When one stops viewing attraction as a game to be won or a performance to be perfected, and instead as a genuine connection between two individuals, the process becomes effortless. What is Stoicism if not the practice of mastering oneself, of embodying virtues such as wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice? A man who refines himself physically, mentally, and emotionally will naturally become more attractive without needing to chase external markers of success. The key takeaway here is that attraction is neither a lottery nor an arbitrary force, it is a skill. Just as one can develop financial literacy, improve physical fitness, or master a craft, one can also cultivate the qualities that make a person attractive. The greatest power a man holds is over his own character. A Stoic man does not seek external validation, but instead focuses on controlling his own behaviors, thoughts, and emotions. He understands that confidence is not bravado, but a quiet assurance in his own path. He recognizes that attraction is not about tricks or tactics, but about becoming the kind of man who inspires admiration naturally. In modern life, women, like all people, are drawn to those who exude inner strength, not to those who seek approval at every turn. If you are single and wondering what it takes to attract the right partner, the answer lies not in acquiring more wealth or sculpting the perfect physique, but in becoming a man of integrity, vision, and unwavering self-assurance. In doing so, not only will you attract the right people into your life, but you will also cultivate a sense of fulfillment that no external validation can provide. Number 2, the power of frame control in dating. In the world of dating, the ability to control the frame of an interaction is the silent force that determines success or failure. Too often, men enter the dating scene playing by rules they never set, reacting instead of leading, seeking approval instead of offering value. At its core, dating is an exchange. Women's currency is sex, while men's is commitment. This fundamental dynamic shapes every interaction, whether consciously or subconsciously. If a man is seeking a casual encounter or a fleeting romance, then he is playing into a frame where the woman is the prize. He is pursuing, chasing, and hoping to be chosen. However, if he is seeking commitment, the long-term, meaningful connection that provides structure and security, then the frame flips. The man becomes the prize. A man who understands this distinction immediately shifts his perspective. He is no longer a contestant in someone else's game, but the one setting the terms of engagement. This is not manipulation. It is leadership. Women, whether they openly acknowledge it or not, seek men who know how to lead. It is written into human psychology, into the very fabric of attraction, because leadership signals stability, protection, and strength, traits that have been desirable for thousands of years. The man who sets the tone, who moves with certainty, and who defines the direction of an interaction, is the man who naturally commands respect and interest. Marcus Aurelius once said, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." A man with direction, who knows what he wants and who is unapologetic about it, is far more attractive than one who bends and contorts to fit into someone else's vision. Most men, however, find themselves struggling in the casual dating field, competing for attention in a space where they hold no real leverage. They operate from a place of scarcity, desperate for validation, hoping to be picked. But the true advantage lies in mastering the commitment frame. A man who understands the value of what he brings, stability, purpose, and long-term vision, operates on an entirely different playing field. He is not in a rush. He does not beg for attention. He is deliberate. Women sense this immediately. They recognize the difference between a man who is merely looking for the next opportunity and one who is confident in his ability to create a lasting connection. The Stoic mindset teaches us that control over oneself is the highest form of power, and in dating, this principle holds true. A man who views sex as a natural outcome rather than the primary goal of his interactions immediately separates himself from the majority. He is not easily swayed by momentary desire, nor does he allow external circumstances to dictate his value. Seneca reminds us, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." How much time has been wasted in pursuit of short-term pleasures, of validation-seeking behaviors that lead nowhere? The man who understands his own worth does not waste time proving it. He simply lives it. Think of a man who walks into a room with an air of quiet confidence. He is not the loudest, nor the flashiest, yet people notice him. He moves with a sense of purpose. He does not fidget. He does not seek to impress, and yet he impresses. This is frame control in action. Now, contrast that with another man, one who is overly eager, visibly nervous, constantly checking to see if he is being watched, adjusting his behavior based on the reactions of those around him. Which of the two do you think holds more power in any interaction? The same applies to dating. A man who plays in his own field, who operates from a position of abundance, who is unshaken by external outcomes, is the man who naturally draws others in. The lesson here is simple. Define your own standards. Hold yourself to them, and do not waver. When a man embodies this, he does not need to convince anyone of his value. It becomes self-evident. The reality is that true power comes from restraint, from knowing when to step forward and when to hold back, from understanding that scarcity is an illusion. The principles of Stoicism today teach us that happiness does not come from external validation, but from mastery over our own lives. A man who dictates the direction of his relationships, who values himself and what he offers, who understands that sex is not the end goal, but a natural byproduct of meaningful connection, is a man who stands apart. Number 3, the right mental programming for success. If you want to win in life and in relationships, you must first win the battle within yourself. The way you think about yourself, your value and your desires dictates everything: how you act, how you present yourself, and ultimately how the world responds to you. The problem many men face isn't a lack of opportunity, looks or wealth, it's the wrong mental programming. It's the difference between being sexual and being horny, between being a man of abundance and a man of scarcity, between moving with purpose and chasing validation. And this distinction is what separates high-value men from those constantly seeking approval. There's a reason why women are drawn to confident men but repelled by those who come across as desperate. A man who is comfortable in his sexuality, who understands and embraces his masculine energy, radiates confidence. He doesn't fidget, he doesn't seek permission, he doesn't force the moment, he lets attraction unfold naturally. But a man who is simply horny, who operates from a place of neediness, who seeks validation through sex, he becomes unbearable, repelling women instead of drawing them in. The key is understanding that you are the prize. Most men don't believe this, and that's why they lose before they even start. They approach women with the mindset that they have to earn her attention, prove their worth, or seek her validation. But a Win Stoic mindset, a high-value mindset, sees things differently. You are not there to impress. You are there to see if she impresses you. If you start every interaction from a place of abundance, of knowing that you have options, you automatically shift the dynamic. Instead of trying to win her over, you let her qualify herself to you. This is where so many men go wrong. They overpraise a woman, agreeing with everything she says, laughing at every joke even when it's not funny, and bending over backwards just to be liked. But this only communicates one thing: I need you to like me. And nothing is more unattractive. The moment a man starts seeking validation is the moment he loses all of his value. Epictetus once said, If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, stop trying so hard to be liked. Be willing to walk away. Be willing to be misunderstood. That's power. That's an abundant mindset. A high-value man does not waste his energy on things outside his control. He controls his desires, his actions, and his emotions. He doesn't react to every text, he doesn't chase, and he certainly doesn't beg for attention. He gives attention only when it is reciprocated. If a woman is interested, great. If she isn't, he moves on. The right woman will recognize his value without needing to be convinced. Think about the men you admire, the ones who command respect without even trying. What do they all have in common? Certainty, presence, purpose. They are not distracted by the need for validation. They operate on their own terms. Are you that kind of man, or are you still living in a mindset where you believe you have to win someone over? Because here's the truth, you don't need to win anyone. You just need to be the kind of man who is naturally valued. The modern world tells men they have to do more, text more, call more, compliment more to keep a woman's attention. But in reality, the men who do less, who know their worth and don't overextend themselves, are the ones women chase. If you've made it this far, you're embracing the wisdom of Stoicism and the strength of independence. Drop a comment saying, "I own my path," to show you're committed to this journey of self-mastery. Stay tuned, your greatest transformation is just beginning. Number 4. Avoiding the friend zone. One of the biggest misconceptions older men face is the romanticized nice guy myth, a belief reinforced by Hollywood that simply being kind, supportive, and always available will eventually lead to romantic success. But reality plays by different rules. Movies may tell you that the persistent, friendly, and emotionally available man will win over the woman in the end, but the truth is far less forgiving. Women categorize men quickly, often within the first few moments of interaction. And if you're slotted into the just a friend category, escaping that position is an uphill battle. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know the truth." And the truth is this: attraction is not built through favors, endless patience, or hoping that your consistency will eventually make her see you as a romantic partner. It is built through emotional engagement, excitement, and polarity. The very things that the nice guy neglects in favor of passive admiration. To avoid or escape the friend zone, you must understand that attraction is either sparked early or it often never ignites at all. The moment you present yourself as a non-threatening, overly accommodating figure, you've set the frame for how she will always see you. Attraction isn't about being agreeable or constantly reassuring her that you're available. It's about presence, confidence, and a slight edge of unpredictability. A high-value man, one who understands Stoic life lessons and what is Stoicism, does not seek approval through kindness alone. He embodies confidence and self-assurance without needing external validation. Think of the men who naturally command respect when they enter a room. Do they beg for attention? Do they pander for approval? No, they exude certainty, and that is what makes them attractive. Seneca wisely stated, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, it is because we do not dare that they are difficult." Most men fear creating tension because they worry about rejection, but in doing so, they reject themselves first by playing it safe. Creating sexual tension is essential. This does not mean being overtly aggressive or inappropriate, but rather engaging in a way that keeps interactions charged with a flirtatious, playful energy. Banter, teasing, and even a bit of mystery prevent you from being categorized as a friend. The moment you allow an interaction to become too emotionally predictable or entirely one-sided in her favor, you remove all the excitement from the dynamic. A woman doesn't date her girlfriends, she dates men who create emotional and physical attraction. The men she pursues are the ones who make her feel something, not just comfort but a spark of curiosity, unpredictability, and desire. In modern life, where many men feel lost in the evolving landscape of dating, understanding Stoic life lessons can be the key to shifting your mindset. Attraction isn't about manipulation or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about knowing your own value, maintaining a strong frame, and leading interactions with confidence. It's about knowing when to walk away, understanding that your worth isn't determined by whether one woman sees it or not. The man who wins is not the one who chases endlessly or waits on the sidelines hoping to be noticed. The man who wins is the one who understands himself, carries himself with certainty, and refuses to be placed in a role he didn't choose. Number 5. The hidden mistake men make with women. One of the biggest hidden mistakes men make with women, especially later in life, is relying too much on compliments, thinking that words of admiration will create attraction. The problem is, compliments, especially generic ones like, "You're so beautiful," are not only ineffective but often counterproductive. Attractive women live in a state of abundance, constantly approached by men offering flattery and hearing the same recycled lines daily. To her, another man showering her with praise is nothing new, nothing memorable, and certainly nothing that sparks a deeper connection. If anything, it signals to her that you are just like the rest, hoping that kind words will earn her attention. But the truth is, real attraction isn't built through excessive admiration. It's built through dynamic conversation, curiosity, and emotional engagement. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality," and that applies to the fear many men have of moving beyond compliments into authentic interactions. Many men hesitate to tease, challenge, or engage in playful storytelling because they fear rejection. Yet these are precisely the qualities that make a man stand out. Instead of overusing compliments, a man should focus on creating moments of intrigue, keeping conversations light, engaging, and unpredictable. What truly makes a man attractive is not the words he says, but the confidence behind them. The sub-communication of value that women instinctively pick up on. Women don't just listen to what a man says, they interpret his body language, tone, and overall presence. This is why so-called bad boys often win over women, not because they mistreat them, but because they exude self-assurance, independence, and an attitude that says, "I don't need you to complete me." The real reason some men struggle in dating isn't that they are too nice, but that their niceness comes from a place of seeking approval. The difference is subtle but crucial. A high-value man is kind because it is in his nature, not because he hopes for something in return. A man who adopts a Stoic mindset understands that his worth isn't dictated by external validation. Marcus Aurelius put it best, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The key to attraction lies in emotional independence, in showing up as a man who is already fulfilled, rather than one hoping to be completed by a woman's approval. Think about modern life. Have you ever seen a man who, despite being successful and accomplished, seems to struggle with women because he tries too hard to please? Now contrast that with the man who isn't overly concerned, who engages playfully, who isn't afraid to challenge a woman's opinions, and who never acts as if he's walking on eggshells. Who do you think she's more drawn to? The answer is obvious. Women are wired to respond to men who project strength, not in a domineering way, but in a way that signals he is in control of his own life. This is why teasing and storytelling are far more effective than generic compliments. A light-hearted tease suggests you are comfortable enough in your own skin to challenge her playfully. A good story makes her feel something: excitement, curiosity, amusement, all of which are far more compelling than simply telling her she looks good. Stoicism today is about mastering the art of self-control and self-possession, about being the kind of man who is engaging without being desperate, present without being overbearing. So what's the takeaway? If you want to connect with a woman in a meaningful way, step away from empty compliments and step into a conversation that challenges, excites, and intrigues. Compliments may make her smile momentarily, but real engagement makes her remember you. Instead of saying, "You're so beautiful," ask, "What's something about you most people get wrong?" Instead of agreeing with everything she says, offer a playful counterpoint, a challenge, a bit of mystery. And above all, stop treating attraction as something you have to earn through words. The real key is presence, self-assurance, and living in a state of stoic happiness, where you are content with yourself, regardless of external circumstances. Number 6. Understanding female emotion versus male logic. One of the most critical things high-value men must understand in relationships is the fundamental difference between male logic and female emotion, especially when it comes to attraction. Women process attraction emotionally, not logically. It's not about ticking off a checklist of qualifications like money, looks, or status. It's about how a man makes her feel. This is where many men go wrong. They try to explain themselves, rationalize every situation, or counter a woman's emotions with logic, not realizing that attraction is rarely a logical process for women. Have you ever tried to reason with a woman who's upset, laying out all the facts, only to see her frustration grow? That's because emotions are not problems to be solved, they are experiences to be felt. Instead of reacting logically to a woman's emotional expression, he must learn to engage playfully, confidently, and without needing to explain or justify himself. Take the classic example. A woman says, "You're too skinny." The logical man responds with, "I'm working on gaining weight," which is factual, but does nothing to engage her emotions. The Win Stoic approach, however, would be to confidently shift the energy with humor, perhaps by smirking and saying, "I'd let you feed me, but only if it comes with a foot massage." This kind of response creates intrigue, keeps the interaction playful, and prevents the conversation from becoming dry or defensive. Understanding that attraction thrives on emotional engagement also explains why women are naturally drawn to drama, or, as many men like to say, the emotional roller coaster. This doesn't mean women want chaos in their lives, but they do crave emotional highs and lows because it makes them feel alive. This is why romance novels, love songs, and dramatic movies capture their attention. It's the feeling of unpredictability, of something unfolding in a way that isn't linear or expected. A woman who feels nothing, who isn't emotionally engaged, will never feel attracted, no matter how logical or perfect a man appears on paper. This is also why the so-called bad boys tend to win. They create tension, excitement, and an element of the unknown, whereas the overly accommodating man plays it safe, avoiding any risk of conflict or challenge. Seneca once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." And this applies to attraction. Without challenge, without unpredictability, things become dull. A high-value man does not walk on eggshells trying to say the right thing. He embraces the natural push and pull of attraction, allowing space for both highs and lows without fear of losing her approval. So how can a man leverage this understanding in real-life interactions? By introducing unpredictability into conversations, by not always giving direct answers, by keeping a playful edge, and by ensuring that interactions are dynamic rather than static. When a woman asks, "Where do you see this going?" the logical man gives a straightforward answer, hoping to provide clarity. But the Win Stoic approach might tease, "I'm still deciding if you can handle me," which instantly creates intrigue. A woman wants to feel like she is experiencing something unique with a man, not just another predictable exchange. The worst thing a man can do is to treat attraction like a job interview, where he's trying to provide the most rational answers. The best thing he can do is lean into the moment, embrace uncertainty, and let the emotional dance unfold. Number 7. Why spoiling a woman can backfire. One of the biggest mistakes many men make, especially those who have worked hard to build a successful life, is believing that generosity in the form of money, gifts, and extravagant gestures will win a woman's affection. It seems logical. After all, in business, in friendships, in nearly every other aspect of life, providing value earns respect. But in dating, particularly when it comes to attraction, this approach often backfires. Women do not fall for men who attempt to bribe them with material things. They fall for men who carry themselves with confidence, purpose, and an unwavering sense of self-worth. This is where Stoic life lessons become invaluable, because what is Stoicism if not the practice of mastering oneself, of understanding that external validation, whether through wealth or approval, holds no real power over a man who knows his own value. The man who believes he must provide endlessly to be loved is actually operating from a place of insecurity. When a woman senses that a man is using material wealth to compensate for a lack of confidence, it creates the opposite of attraction. It creates dependence, predictability, and ultimately disinterest. The truth is, women are drawn not to men who give them most, but to men who hold the highest value, and high-value men do not seek approval through their wallets. Think about the difference between a man who constantly buys a woman gifts, hoping she will appreciate him, versus a man who playfully makes her earn his attention. The first man believes that his generosity will make her love him, but in reality, it only lowers his status in her eyes. Because when something is given too easily, it loses its value. The second man, however, subtly communicates that his time and energy are not freely available to just anyone, and that alone makes him more desirable. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." A man who spoils a woman excessively is not truly giving, he is craving approval. This is why high-value men do not over-provide. They understand that attraction is built through tension, challenge, and a sense of unpredictability. Women don't fantasize about men who are endlessly agreeable and accommodating. They are drawn to those who create a sense of excitement, who keep them engaged emotionally, and who do not need them to feel complete. Confidence and playfulness. A woman does not want a man who hands her everything on a silver platter. She wants a man who challenges her, who makes her feel alive, who creates a dynamic where she must invest in the interaction as much as he does. When a man carries himself with quiet confidence, when he teases rather than panders, when he flirts rather than submits, he naturally separates himself from the men who rely on material displays of affection. This doesn't mean a man should never give, but giving must come from a place of abundance, not desperation. If a man spoils a woman before she has invested in him emotionally, he risks positioning himself as a provider rather than a partner. The man who values himself does not chase, he attracts. He does not beg, he leads. He does not over-explain. He moves with certainty, knowing that he is enough. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." And this is the essence of Stoic happiness. Knowing that the value you bring is not in what you can give, but in who you are. Emotional independence is the foundation of attraction. The moment a man signals that he needs a woman's approval, attention, or affection to feel worthy, he lowers his value. This is why the men who seem to be least affected by women's moods, the men who maintain their sense of self no matter the circumstances, are often the most attractive. Women respect a man who is solid in his beliefs, in his confidence, in his sense of purpose. They are drawn to men who want them, not men who need them. The difference is subtle but profound. One man gives from a place of strength, while the other gives from a place of insecurity. One man enjoys the presence of a woman, while the other depends on it. A Win Stoic mindset means understanding that a man's worth is not determined by how much he provides materially, but by how unshakable he remains in his own sense of self. Number 8. The final key. Stop thinking women are complicated. Many men spend years believing that women are mysterious, unpredictable, or impossible to understand, but this belief is not only incorrect, it is self-defeating. The truth is, women follow predictable emotional patterns, and attraction is not some complex puzzle, but rather a set of instinctual responses hardwired into human nature. The idea that women are complicated is simply an excuse men use when they don't fully understand how attraction works. Stoicism today teaches us that mastery over life comes from understanding reality as it is, rather than how we wish it to be. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." If you've ever found yourself frustrated, wondering why a woman lost interest, why she responded to one man differently than another, or why your logical approach to dating hasn't worked, it's not because women are beyond comprehension, it's because you haven't yet grasped the emotional nature of attraction. Women are not drawn to men for their words alone, nor their wealth or looks, but for the way a man makes them feel. Attraction is not built through reason or explanation. It is built through emotion, tension, curiosity, unpredictability, and the sense that a man knows who he is without needing external validation. Once you truly understand this, your entire perspective on dating changes. A Stoic mindset teaches that success in any area of life is about observing patterns, applying discipline, and refining behavior based on reality rather than wishful thinking. The same applies to attraction. Women are emotionally driven creatures, and once a man recognizes this, he no longer feels lost. He no longer takes rejection personally or chases endlessly, hoping that proving his worth will result in love. Instead, he becomes the kind of man who naturally evokes feelings in a woman, feelings of excitement, of challenge, of wanting to earn his attention rather than simply receiving it for free. Epictetus once said, "It is not events that disturb men, but their judgments concerning them." And this is precisely where most men go wrong with women. They judge every rejection, every shift in mood, every moment of uncertainty as evidence that women are confusing. rather than seeing it as the natural emotional ebb and flow of attraction. When a woman tests you, pulls back, or becomes emotional, she is not looking for explanation. She is looking for a man who remains steady, confident, and unaffected by the storm. The more you try to rationalize her emotions, the less attractive you become. The more you embrace the natural push and pull of attraction, the more magnetic you are. Being single is not a personal failure, nor is it a reflection of a man's inherent worth. It is simply a result of behavior, mindset, and patterns that can be improved. Many men, including those who have been successful in every other area of life, have struggled in relationships not because they lack value, but because they have approached attraction in a way that does not align with how women actually respond. The speaker himself once faced these same challenges, believing that effort alone would lead to results, only to find that attraction doesn't work on logic, it works on instinct. But through Stoic Life Lessons, through observing patterns, making adjustments, and approaching dating with discipline, he saw a dramatic shift. And that's the most empowering part of all. Attraction is not luck, it is a skill. It requires patience, self-mastery, and a willingness to see reality clearly. Attraction follows instinctual, predictable rules, and once you understand them, you will never again feel confused or powerless. A woman does not want a man who explains himself endlessly or seeks her approval. She wants a man who understands her emotions without being swayed by them. She wants a man who evokes feelings of excitement, of respect, of admiration, not a man who tries to logically convince her to stay. The call to action here is clear: implement these lessons, shift your perspective, and watch as the results follow. Just as a man cannot expect to master his career without learning the necessary skills, he cannot expect to succeed in dating without understanding the emotional foundation of attraction. If you've been struggling in your relationships or feeling lost in the world of dating, don't see it as defeat. See it as an opportunity to grow. Every great change starts with awareness and action. By applying these Stoic life lessons to your daily life, you'll not only improve your relationships, but also build unshakable confidence, emotional resilience, and a deep sense of stoic happiness. Remember, attraction isn't about chasing. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally draws others in. If today was the wake-up call you needed, take action. Start applying these principles, observe the results, and refine your approach. And I'd love to hear from you. What lesson from today's video resonated with you the most? Drop a comment below and let's keep the conversation going. For more in-depth discussions on mastering your mindset and relationships, make sure to subscribe to Win Stoic. The journey to becoming a high-value man starts now. This is The Dark Needle, and I'll see you in the next video. Why should you cherish single life? Being single isn't a failure, it's an opportunity. In today's world, more people than ever are embracing singlehood, not as a temporary phase, but as a conscious choice. Research shows that single individuals often experience greater freedom, personal growth, and even enhanced mental well-being. Yet, society still clings to the idea that being in a relationship is the ultimate sign of success. But is it really? Renowned psychotherapist Anna Jackson highlights how many define their worth through their romantic partners, often fearing solitude more than they fear being in the wrong relationship. But true growth comes from embracing your independence, learning from past experiences, and understanding that being alone does not mean being lonely. With this in mind, let's explore 7 science-backed reasons why being single might just be the best thing that's ever happened to you. 1. being single gives you more space for self-reflection. Being single is often misunderstood, especially for men between 40 and 70 who have lived through long relationships, marriages, or perhaps even the pain of divorce. But embracing single life is not a step backward. It's a gateway to self-discovery, personal growth, and peace of mind. Jackson shares that after ending a long-term relationship, she found herself able to focus solely on her personal desires, without the weight of a partner's expectations shaping her choices. Just feeling free allowed me to concentrate on what I truly wanted and gradually become the person I aspired to be, she reflects. This aligns with a fundamental principle of what is Stoicism, that true contentment comes not from external validation, but from within. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." This wisdom reminds us that when we constantly seek fulfillment in others, we scatter ourselves too thin, losing sight of our own needs and values. A period of solitude, instead of being feared, should be cherished as a rare and valuable chance for self-reflection and recalibration. Many men rush into new relationships to heal past wounds, believing that companionship will silence their inner turmoil. But the truth is, emotional healing isn't something another person can give you. It's something you must cultivate on your own. The Stoics understood this well, teaching that suffering is not caused by external events, but by how we perceive and react to them. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, advised, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Choosing to remain single after heartbreak allows time to work as the best remedy. It is in these moments of solitude that we develop the resilience to move forward, no longer haunted by the ghosts of the past. Without the distractions of an unhealthy relationship or the desperate need to fill a void, you become more attuned to what genuinely makes you happy. Whether it's exploring new hobbies, traveling to places you've always dreamed of, or simply cultivating a peaceful daily routine free from unnecessary drama. Moreover, being single opens the door to self-improvement. When you are not entangled in a relationship, you have more freedom to expand your world, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Whether it's picking up a long-lost passion, improving your physical health, or deepening your intellectual pursuits, this stage of life can be one of the most fulfilling. This is the essence of Stoic Life Lessons, not to lament what is absent, but to maximize what is present. Epictetus, another great Stoic thinker, believed that no man is free who is not master of himself. This is where singlehood becomes a gift rather than a burden. Instead of looking outward for happiness, you cultivate it within, making peace with yourself and embracing the joy of self-sufficiency. The modern world often associates fulfillment with being in a relationship, but men who have lived long enough know that true peace comes from being comfortable in your own skin, not from chasing validation from others. 2. Single people tend to engage more in physical activities. Being single isn't just about having more time for yourself. It's about investing in yourself, and one of the most powerful ways to do that is through physical activity. Studies published in the Journal of Marriage and Family reveal that single individuals are more likely to engage in regular exercise compared to those who are married. Without the responsibilities of a relationship dictating their schedules, single people tend to prioritize their health, leading to a stronger body and a sharper mind. Social psychologist Bella DePaul, in Psychology Today, points out that single women often experience better health than their married counterparts, with fewer illnesses and doctor visits. But this isn't just about statistics. It's about how you choose to live your life. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to let fitness slide when you're in a long-term relationship? Between shared meals, cozy nights in, and shifting priorities, personal health often takes a back seat. But when you're single, your time is your own, and that means you have the freedom to make your well-being a priority. This idea is further supported by research in social science and medicine, which found that single individuals typically have lower body mass index (BMI) scores than those who are married. But beyond the numbers, this reflects a deeper truth. When you don't have a partner to rely on, you take full responsibility for your own physical and mental health. This is the essence of Stoic mindset. Understanding that you alone are accountable for your body, your habits, and your overall well-being. And this isn't just about lifting weights or running marathons. It's about movement in general. Scott, a therapist, observes that her single clients rarely skip workouts, whether it's walking their dog, attending yoga classes, or even trying new activities like dance or hiking. They don't see exercise as a chore, but as a lifestyle, one that fuels not just their physical health, but also their emotional well-being. Movement has always been a form of transformation, and for single individuals, it becomes an act of self-care, proving that happiness and fulfillment don't depend on a partner, but on personal discipline and growth. In today's world, where distractions and obligations constantly pull us in different directions, embracing physical activity as a single person is one of the best gifts you can give yourself. Not only does it enhance your energy and focus, but it also reinforces the idea that your well-being is in your hands. Stoicism today teaches us that fulfillment comes from discipline, self-awareness, and action. 3. Single people often have stronger friendships. Being single isn't just about independence. It's about cultivating deeper, more meaningful connections with the people who truly matter. Too often, romantic relationships are placed on a pedestal, leading many to believe that a life without a partner is incomplete. Studies published in Contexts reveal that single individuals invest significantly more time in friendships and family compared to those in relationships. Without the tunnel vision that often accompanies romantic commitments, single people have the freedom to nurture the bonds that provide long-term emotional support. Think about it. How often have you seen someone disappear into a relationship, only to reappear years later when it falls apart? Jackson explains that many individuals in relationships pour all their energy into their partners, neglecting the friendships that once gave them joy and stability. She puts it simply, people who are always seeking new relationships pour all their time and effort into their partners. It's no surprise they often feel lonely. They've lost their deep friendships. Bonnie Scott offers an insightful perspective, noting that modern society places an unfair emphasis on romance, often treating friendships as secondary. But true connection isn't limited to love stories. It thrives in late-night conversations with close friends, in the shared experiences that build trust over time, in the laughter that doesn't come with conditions. Win Stoic teaches us that high-value men recognize the power of strong social bonds, understanding that fulfillment comes not from clinging to one person, but from building a network of relationships that enrich life in different ways. As Epictetus wisely said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This applies not just to material wealth, but to emotional wealth as well. When you stop chasing validation from romantic relationships and instead focus on the people who truly support you, you become emotionally rich. A study published in Information, Communication and Society further supports this idea. showing that single people not only have more close friends, but also make greater efforts to nurture their social circles. Without the constraints of a relationship dictating their time, single individuals have the ability to deepen their bonds with friends, travel together, support one another through life's ups and downs, and genuinely enjoy the freedom of companionship on their own terms. This is the essence of a Stoic mindset, understanding that happiness doesn't come from external validation, but from the strength of your inner circle and your ability to stand firm in who you are. Being single isn't a period of loneliness. It's an opportunity to strengthen the friendships that bring real value to your life. It's about embracing the people who support you without conditions, the ones who challenge you to grow, and the ones who remind you of who you are. High-value men understand that true fulfillment doesn't come from one relationship. It comes from the collective strength of many. 4. Single people often have financial advantages. Being single often comes with a misconception that it leads to higher living costs, but the reality is that single individuals frequently enjoy distinct financial advantages that provide them with more control, flexibility, and long-term stability. According to Debt.org, single individuals are less likely to accumulate credit card debt compared to their married counterparts, with only 21% of single people carrying such debt, in contrast to 27% of married couples without children and a staggering 36% of married couples with children. This alone highlights a significant financial benefit. Less debt means more financial freedom. Without the obligations of supporting a spouse or funding family expenses, single individuals can make financial decisions that align entirely with their personal goals, rather than compromising for a shared household budget. This is where Stoic Life Lessons come into play, teaching us the value of self-sufficiency and disciplined financial planning. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Financial stability is not just about how much you earn, but how wisely you manage what you have. A key advantage of being single is the ability to take more financial risks without the constraints that often come with marriage. Wealthify points out that single individuals have greater career flexibility, as they can pursue high-risk, high-reward opportunities without worrying about how it might affect a partner or children. This freedom allows for a more dynamic approach to wealth building, whether through starting a business, investing in stocks, or relocating for better job prospects. Without the need to consult a spouse on every major decision, single individuals can move quickly and strategically, seizing financial opportunities that might otherwise be off-limits. This is an aspect of what is Stoicism, understanding that true freedom comes from being in control of one's decisions and not being bound by external dependencies. When you have complete authority over your financial choices, you are in a position of strength, capable of adapting to economic changes and maximizing your wealth potential. Another major financial benefit of single life is the ability to prioritize personal wealth-building strategies, whether through savings, investments, or experiences that bring long-term value. Wealthify states, if you're single, you don't need to spend money on anyone else but yourself. You can save your earnings or invest in experiences like traveling. Whether or not you have children, marriage inevitably increases financial responsibilities. This means that instead of spending money on unnecessary household expenses or compromising financial goals to meet the needs of a partner, single individuals can allocate their resources toward personal growth and security. Whether it's traveling to expand your worldview, investing in real estate, or simply building a solid retirement fund, The financial flexibility of being single is a tremendous advantage that many people fail to recognize. In today's world, where financial independence is one of the greatest indicators of personal freedom, those who embrace singlehood have the opportunity to shape their financial futures without unnecessary constraints. While relationships can be fulfilling, they often come with financial compromises, and for many men, the peace of mind that comes with financial autonomy is invaluable. Seneca, a great Stoic philosopher, once said, "Wealth is the slave of the wise, the master of the fool." This reflects the idea that money should be a tool for freedom, not a burden. And single individuals have a unique advantage in structuring their finances for long-term success. 5. Being single opens up more career opportunities. Being single isn't just about personal freedom, it's about unlocking opportunities that might otherwise be out of reach. In a world where career advancement often requires flexibility, single individuals have a distinct advantage. They don't have to factor in a partner's job, children's schooling, or the complexities of shared responsibilities when making big decisions. Scott explains that single people are more willing to move to a new city for a job or commit to demanding projects without worrying about family constraints. Their decisions are fully their own. This level of autonomy is rare, and it's one of the biggest advantages that single individuals have in today's fast-paced world. When you aren't tied down by someone else's expectations, your career can take center stage, allowing you to take risks, explore new industries, and pursue the kind of professional success that others might hesitate to chase. DiPaolo also highlights that single people tend to prioritize their careers because they don't have to balance work with the demands of a romantic relationship. Think about it, when was the last time you saw a married person with kids easily relocate for a new job or commit to a project that required long hours? For single individuals, these choices aren't complicated. They don't have to negotiate with a partner or feel guilty about sacrificing family time. Instead, they can pour their energy into building something meaningful for themselves. This is where Stoicism today provides powerful insight. The Stoics believe that life is best lived with a clear sense of purpose, and Marcus Aurelius once said, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." High achievers understand that success demands focus and resilience, qualities that are often easier to cultivate when you're single and fully in control of your own time and priorities. But let's be honest, being alone can sometimes feel challenging. There may be moments when you question whether the sacrifices are worth it, whether prioritizing your career over relationships will leave you feeling unfulfilled. Stoic happiness isn't about avoiding relationships, it's about making decisions that align with your personal values and goals. It's about recognizing that the greatest sense of fulfillment doesn't come from a partner, but from living with purpose. In today's world, where industries evolve rapidly and opportunities come and go, those who can adapt quickly have the upper hand. Being single means being able to say yes to a promotion in a new country, to working late nights on a passion project, to networking without limitations. It's about having the flexibility to grow into the best version of yourself. This is why a Stoic mindset is essential. It teaches you to focus on what you can control and to find satisfaction in your own path, rather than seeking validation from a relationship. 6. Single people adapt better to life's challenges. Being single is not a weakness, it's a strength, a proving ground for resilience, and a path to true self-sufficiency. Too often, society equates being alone with loneliness, but in reality, solitude is one of the greatest tools for personal growth. It teaches you how to navigate life's ups and downs without needing constant reassurance from a partner. Win Stoic teaches that high-value men are those who master themselves first, who understand that fulfillment comes from within, not from external validation. At some point, everyone must learn to stand alone, whether by choice or by circumstance. If you've never spent time alone, the moment life forces you into solitude, whether through a breakup, divorce, or loss, it will feel unbearable. But those who have embraced being single, who have learned to enjoy their own company, adapt to these changes with far greater ease. They aren't left floundering because they never relied on someone else for emotional stability in the first place. Research suggests that single people experience fewer negative emotions compared to married individuals, who often struggle when forced to be alone. This frustration frequently stems from years of dependency, from seeking happiness through someone else rather than cultivating it internally. If your sense of worth is tied to a relationship, what happens when that relationship ends? A Stoic mindset reminds us that everything external, relationships, wealth, status, is fleeting. What remains is your ability to stand firm in your own presence. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This is the heart of independence, finding peace within yourself so that no external event, no absence of a partner can shake your foundation. Jackson challenges people to ask themselves, can you be truly happy on your own? It's a question worth serious reflection. Are you seeking relationships out of genuine desire, or are you running from loneliness? Do you fear solitude because you think it means you're unwanted, or because you've never learned to enjoy your own presence? These are uncomfortable but necessary questions, because the truth is, if you cannot be happy alone, you will never be truly happy in a relationship. Relying on a partner for fulfillment is like building a house on unstable ground. Eventually cracks will appear, and when they do, everything will crumble. This is why high-value men focus on self-reliance first. They don't seek relationships to fill a void, but to complement an already complete life. 7. Learning to be happy alone is crucial. Learning to be happy alone is not just a skill, it's a necessity, especially for men in their 40s to 70s who have spent years prioritizing relationships, careers, and external responsibilities over their own inner peace. Loneliness and solitude are often mistaken for one another, but they couldn't be more different. Loneliness is the restless feeling of something missing, an emotional void that seeks to be filled by someone else, while solitude is a state of self-contentment, a powerful realization that your own company is enough. Scott explains that true independence comes when a man stops viewing solitude as a burden and starts embracing it as an opportunity for growth. This isn't about avoiding relationships, it's about ensuring that if and when you choose to be with someone, it comes from a place of strength, not fear. The great Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today." When you spend your days fearing solitude, constantly seeking a partner to distract you, you rob yourself of the present moment, the time you could be using to build a fulfilling life on your own terms. Jackson highlights a deeper issue. When a man cannot be alone, it signals a lack of self-sufficiency. If you're always running toward the next relationship, seeking validation, or using a partner as a shield against your own inner struggles, you are not living freely, you are simply avoiding yourself. And what happens when that relationship ends, as so many inevitably do? You are left exactly where you started, but with more emotional baggage, more regrets, and often less of a sense of who you are. This is where Stoic life lessons provide invaluable wisdom. The Stoics believed in self-mastery, in facing our fears head-on rather than running from them. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, advised you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The man who depends on others for happiness is at the mercy of life's unpredictability, while the man who learns to be happy alone is unshakable. He does not fear change, he does not settle for the wrong relationship just to escape solitude, and most importantly, he does not lose himself in the pursuit of external fulfillment. In today's world, where relationships are often idealized and loneliness is stigmatized, many men rush into commitments they aren't truly ready for, thinking that companionship will cure their dissatisfaction. But the truth is, entering an unsuitable relationship out of fear of being alone might provide short-term comfort, but it almost always leads to long-term pain. How many men have sacrificed their peace, their ambitions, and even their finances for a relationship they were never truly happy in? The key to avoiding this cycle is simple but challenging. Learn to enjoy your own company. Develop routines, hobbies, and passions that excite you. Travel, engage in fitness, read books that challenge your thinking, and spend time in nature. These are not just distractions, they are pathways to understanding yourself on a deeper level. What is Stoicism if not the practice of resilience, discipline, and self-reliance? The strongest men are not those who avoid solitude, but those who use it to refine themselves. Thank you for taking the time to listen and reflect on these insights. Whether you are single by choice or by circumstance, remember that this stage of life is not a waiting period. It's an opportunity to grow, to strengthen your mindset, and to build a life of true fulfillment. Win Stoic is about embracing resilience, self-mastery, and the power of independence. And I hope today's discussion has given you a new perspective on the value of solitude. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep exploring the wisdom that helps us become stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled men. Keep focusing on what you can control, keep growing, and most importantly, keep living life on your own terms. See you in the next episode.